Alright, what's going on, guys? Trev back again, here to bring you another video. This video is going to be doing a review for Quinton Rampage Jackson versus Glover Teixeira. Right, so if you haven't seen the fight yet, my review will contain spoilers, and you'll probably want to go at least read about it first and kind of get an idea. I don't want to be the one to tell you who won the fight. Go watch it. You can probably find it online if you Google it enough, that type of stuff. Or at least the highlights. You can at least see the highlights. And to be honest, it wasn't that great of a fight anyway, and probably not that great of a night of fights overall. For me, this was the only fight in the card I was really interested in. I wasn't really interested in any of the others. When it comes to lighter weight classes, I mean, I'll watch them if I have time, but it's not something I'm going to put my schedule on hold for and not make videos or not do things to go and, watch them in particular, if I'm working or whatever. So that being said, this was pretty much the only fight that I watched on this card and I'm going to review. And, man, leading up to this fight, we kind of knew, or at least from the interviews, it kind of seemed like something was off with Rampage. It's his last fight in the octagon, but he didn't look happy. He didn't look happy to have the fight. He didn't look happy to be doing it. He just didn't look happy all around. He didn't seem like he was interested. Also, he's kind of put this off before, because he was supposed to fight Glover before this year, and he kind of, passed on it, said he had to get, I think, knee surgery, was it, on both knees or something. So he did that, whatever, he got that done and all that stuff, and supposedly everything went well with that. But either way, this was going to be his last fight in the octagon. He was not going to re-sign with UFC, and he made that publicly clear. I think that this outcome right here, him losing to Glover like this, I think this has more to do with Rampage just not having it anymore, not really wanting to do it anymore, not really being interested anymore. I mean, at this point, I think Dana White said, I saw it in some news articles, that Rampage has made over $16 million fighting in the UFC. And that, I don't think includes sponsorships, or I'm sure it doesn't include absolutely everything he's done. I'm sure he's done, like the 18 movie, I'm sure he got paid at least a good amount of money for that. I'm sure he got, all kinds of other stuff that he's done over the years, pride fighting, everything like that. The guy's probably made over $20 million in his career. So compare that to what the average person makes. I mean, he doesn't need to do it anymore if he doesn't want to. As long as he's not a total retard with his money, which it seems like he's pretty stupid with his money if you watched his Cribs thing. But a little bit. But as long as he, saved half of that, he'll never have to work again in his life if he doesn't want to. He can just do something that interests him. Now, he's probably not going to win any awards for acting, because I personally don't think he's a good actor or anything like that. But he is funny. He is really funny type of fighter. So, when he was on and before his fights and stuff, he was definitely an entertainer and a lot of fun to watch and to listen to in his interviews. Just quite the character and one of my favorite fighters ever. But, I mean, he definitely has not ended his career on a high note. Versus, I mean, most fighters don't really end their career on a high note, but there are some here and there. Like Fedor, I think you could say ended his career kind of on a high note, even though, because he did have a 3-win streak, even though it was against cans, kind of. Not complete cans, but half cans, I guess you could say. But Rampage says that he's going to continue fighting. He's going to go elsewhere outside of the UFC and see what else is available to him. But here's the thing. The UFC has a monopoly at this point. There's really nobody else out there that Rampage is going to be able to go and fight for. Like, who's he going to fight for? Is he going to go to Bellator? What are they going to pay him? I mean, I don't think they'd be paying him more than the UFC. The competition might be a little easier. I guess he could go there and fight King Mo would make sense. But he kind of screwed up here. Because if he really wanted to do that, and he was really interested in that, he kind of needed to win this fight in order to do it. Losing like this to Glover is really bad, because now he's out of the UFC. He's lost 3 straight, and he's going to probably, if he even wants to, I don't even know if he would even want to continue fighting, but if he does, which it sounds like he does want to, from what he's been saying so far, after the loss, I don't know, because it didn't seem like he really wanted to me. It didn't seem like it was really, it's really in his heart at this point to continue fighting. But if he does leave the UFC and go to Bellator or something like that, I still don't know if he's going to really be successful. I mean, he's lost 3 straight. John Jones, yeah, everybody loses to John Jones right now. Ryan Bader, he should have won that fight. I mean, come on, he should have beat Ryan Bader, absolutely. It was in Japan and everything. Come on, I almost said pride there. And now lost to Glover. It's not good, you know. It's not good. I mean, people are not going to buy his fights if the pay-per-view is expensive. You know, when he fights for some other organization or if he goes to Bellator and whatever, people are really not going to tune in. I mean, personally, me, I just look at it as like Rampage's career is over. That's all there is to it. I mean, he's not going to re-sign with the UFC. If he does go to another company, he's going to fight either cans or B-level fighters. And King Mo is kind of one of the best of the B-level fighters. Probably could be an A-level fighter, but that would be an exciting fight. But at the same time, I just don't, like, when I watch Rampage nowadays, I don't feel like he has it anymore. I mean, the last time he knocked someone out was Wanderlei Silva, and that was in 2008. That was over 4 years ago now. Wow, he hasn't knocked anybody out in over 4 years. So, you know, all the rest were decisions, stuff like that. He beat Lyoto Machida by a split decision, which was basically almost a draw. I mean, it was so close. But he did get that. But, I mean, other than that, it hasn't been good. This is not the same guy that we saw in 2007, 2006, 2005, all these years that was knocking people out left, right, and center, slamming people in Japan. You know, and even in UFC, too, he was knocking out a lot of people, knocked out Chuck Liddell, knocked out Marvin Eastman. I mean, he knocked out a lot of guys. Wanderlei Silva, of course, their battles that they had. This fight, oh, man. It was a pretty crappy fight, and especially if you're a Rampage fan. Glover pretty much had his way with Rampage. Took him down at will. Controlled him. Landed the better punches. Got the knockdowns. Looked like he had more energy, even though he was bigger. Quinton didn't seem to have, you know, very good cardio after the first round. And they're both almost the same age. Rampage is 34. Glover's 33. So age is not really a factor. You know, when you look at it, yeah, you know, Rampage has been a lot more fights and all that, but been around a lot more. That's true. That's true. He's been in a ton of fights. But based on his record right here, it looks to me as though fighters in MMA, what I've noticed basically over doing my reviews over the last 3 years and stuff like that and predictions, fighters in MMA have about 40 fights, depending on their weight class. Okay, so the lighter guys, they can go more. The heavier guys usually can't even go that much. Light heavyweight, middleweight, welterweight, those guys, the further you go down, the more fights you're probably looking at. A good heavyweight will probably have around 30 fights if he stays in it for his whole career and wants to continue. Moving down, light heavyweight, I'd say about 40, you know, and then you can go down maybe 5 each for the rest of the divisions, and that'd be about right. But after that point, it just seems like to me the fighters just can't do it anymore. I don't know if it's the testosterone, their body, whatever. Maybe they need some supplementation or they need some of those pro-hormones or whatever the hell is going on in the sport. But aside from if they're doing that, like guys like Dan Henderson who takes that, if you guys don't know that. But it still seems like to me about 40 fights is it. You get about 40 fights and you're done, basically. And whether you like it or not, you're just not going to be able to fight the same. I mean, you could fight the B-level shows if you want to do that. You could do the whole Dan Severn and Ken Shamrock thing and keep fighting for a whole bunch of different promotions that come up and then go out of business 6 months later, or you know, just local shows, stuff like this, and get paid from the gate because maybe for some of them there isn't even a pay-per-view, or you know, it's not even shown on a major station or anything like that. But yeah, it sounds like to me Quinton's done because he definitely should have won the fight against Ryan Bader in Japan. There's no doubt about it. And he definitely should have won this fight against Glover. Now, I'm not saying that Glover is not talented. The guy, he obviously is. I mean, he's got a great record. He's undefeated so far in the UFC. This is his first notable win against a big guy that's still in the UFC and at a top tier. He has beaten Rico Rodriguez, who's really good, but Rico's been out for a long time. He hasn't been in the UFC forever, so that's kind of a different issue. But Glover was bigger than Quinton. He was able to wrestle him around. He was able to take him down. He was able to land the better shots, even get some knockdowns. Better cardio even for a bigger guy. Man, very strange. So he wins the decision. Luckily, Quinton didn't get knocked out. But this is bad for Quinton if he wants to continue fighting. He doesn't need to. Like I said, he's got the money. He should probably, at this point, just retire, in my opinion, and call it a night, and that's it. Because I think after 3 consecutive performances like that, losing 3 in a row like that, barely beating Matt Hamill, not knocking him out when he should have, I don't think people are gonna pay to watch him. Honestly, I don't. Maybe a few hardcore MMA fans. But for the most part, I think Quinton's days are pretty much numbered. I think that's basically all I really wanted to say. It was a lackluster fight for me as a Rampage fan, and all the guys that were around in the days when MMA was starting to get big and all that, they're pretty much all gone now. Quinton is basically no exception. So anyway, let me know what you guys think about it. What do you think Quinton should do at this point? Do you really feel like he should be joining another organization like Bellator and doing that? I personally feel, unless he, starts feeling better and wants to do it again, because he's always said he hates training, he should just retire. Because the training these days is so intensive and is so demanding that fighters have to do it pretty much year-round. They can't have these fight camps where they just, go, well, you're going to have a camp too, but you can't just be out of shape and eating pizza all day and watching television or playing video games or whatever, and then be like, okay, it's 15 weeks out, I got to get in shape now. I got to start training now and train for 3 months and then I'll fight. You have to train all the time, all year round. You can't just do that, and that's what Quinton's been doing in terms of what he says on primetime and stuff like that. It seems like that's what he's doing. So I personally, when you lose that hunger, you lose that ambition to do it, there's no point. Because he's probably going to end up just getting himself hurt or whatever. If he doesn't feel like it anymore, if he doesn't want to train all year round, he should just hang him up. So I guess my opinion is I think he should retire. Let me know what you guys think. And tell me, am I totally off base in this, or does he not look interested in MMA or fighting at all anymore? That's it for this video, guys. I'll see you for the next one. This is Trev, saying peace.